Democracy, pluralism, the rule of law, self-determination, and freedom are values which Canadians hold dear, and ones which the government is determined to protect. All Canadians can give themselves far more than any foreign power on any continent can ever take away.
There was an opportunity, many in fact, for the Queen to protect those she once held dear. But when the time came, her silence spoke louder than ever before. Prince Harry, Meghan Markle, and Prince Andrew never saw this coming. King Charles has officially unsealed the royal will, and what's inside flips everything upside down. The Queen's last words weren't in a speech. They were in a document, and it's shocking. There's no mention of Prince Harry or Meghan Markle in the Queen's will at all. Despite their global fame and being family, the couple was completely left out of the document. Not even a sentimental item, not a letter, not a token, just nothing. Prince Andrew, different story. Even after the scandals, even after being stripped of royal duties and titles, Andrew received significant personal items and financial favors passed down through coded references in the will. It's like the Queen was making a quiet but clear statement. This wasn't just about favoritism, this was about legacy, what and who she truly wanted to be remembered. So what did the Queen really think about her family in the end? Let's go back to the very moment the truth began to unravel.
From my own point of view, I find it rather worthwhile. I belonged to the Coast Guards when I was at Gordonson, and eventually became captain of the service, which was... Oh, shut up, for God's sake.
At the head of the long oak table sat King Charles, calm on the surface, but there was a weight in his eyes. This was more than just family business. It was the reading of Queen Elizabeth II's final words, words that would shape the future of the monarchy and expose the rift within it. Prince William was there, sitting straight-backed, trying to read his father's expression. Princess Anne, composed as always, nodded respectfully to the royal solicitor, Sir Gavin. But 3 seats were empty. Prince Harry, Meghan Markle, and Prince Andrew were nowhere in sight. Now that might sound odd, 3 key royals missing during the Queen's will reading, but it was deliberate. Invitations weren't sent, their absence wasn't an oversight, it was part of the plan. Because this wasn't just any will, this wasn't a typical line-by-line inheritance document, this was a royal masterstroke, carefully written, guarded, and protected under the Royal Secrecy Act. And it came with something no one expected, a sealed envelope clause. A clause designed not just to distribute assets, but to reshape the monarchy's image for good. Sir Gavin, holding a thick cream-colored folder with the royal crest, began to read. Most of it at first was expected: bequests to loyal staff, acknowledgments of public duty, mementos to trusted friends. But then he reached Clause 7, and everything shifted. The room fell silent when Sir Gavin reached Section 7. And with each word, Harry and Meghan's ties to the crown vanished. Clause 7.1 was direct. It read, "No provision shall be made in this document or any trust held in my name for the benefit of the Duke and Duchess of Sussex or their descendants." That single line shut the door on any future inheritance. No access to royal estates, financial trusts, or titles connected to the Queen's legacy. Not only were Harry and Meghan excluded, but any children they had would also be written out of royal consideration. Then came Clause 7.2, and this one hit even harder. The children of the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, Archie Harrison Mountbatten-Windsor and Lilibet Diana Mountbatten-Windsor, shall not hold, now or in future, the style or title of Royal Highness. This wasn't just a financial cutoff, it was a generational block, a permanent line in the sand. The Queen, often silent publicly, had now spoken with unmistakable clarity. And here's what makes this even more layered. Meghan had previously claimed in interviews that the palace didn't want Archie to be a prince because of race. But now, the Queen's final words don't cite race at all. The focus is legacy, stability, and protection of the monarchy from internal damage. To many in the room, it was obvious this was a calculated move. The Queen may have stayed quiet during the public drama, but she had the final say. And her decision made it clear, stepping away from royal duty had consequences. Public criticism, Netflix deals, book tours, it all factored into this final ruling. Was it harsh? Maybe, but it was undeniably strategic. By removing Harry and Meghan's future stake, the Queen protected the institution from more leaks, more controversy, and more chaos. She didn't just close a door, she bolted it shut. But if you think that was bold, wait until you hear what she left behind, sealed and waiting to explode.
If you're going to do something, you have to find kind supporters and generous people and others who may be interested in what I'm trying to do. So that was really the main reason, and I thought I might be able to contribute a little bit.
This wasn't just about money or titles. The Queen left behind something far more powerful: evidence. Tucked inside the final pages of her will was a sealed envelope, unmarked except for the royal crest, and a handwritten note to be opened only if contested, publicly or in court. That envelope wasn't symbolic, it was deliberate. Inside were documents gathered quietly over 2 years: letters, emails, private recordings, and sworn testimonies from longtime palace staff. The Queen, often seen as passive during the royal fallout, had in fact been collecting everything. Reports say some of these letters were direct communications between Meghan and senior aides, memos where Meghan allegedly made demands or issued ultimatums. Others were emails between Harry and senior palace officials discussing royal funds, duties, and titles, documents that paint a different picture from what the public was told. Even more damaging were testimonies from royal staff who had worked with the couple, subscribing internal tension, others recounting behind-the-scenes behavior that never reached the tabloids. But here's the twist: this envelope was never meant to be opened unless Harry and Meghan decided to legally contest the Queen's will. If they challenged the clauses in court or through official complaint, that sealed evidence becomes admissible and public. In other words, the Queen built a silent deterrent. And she didn't stop there. In a final move that caught even senior advisors off guard, duplicates of the sealed file were quietly sent to leaders across the Commonwealth, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, and others. The message was clear: the monarchy would not be caught off guard again, and allies would be ready if controversy spread beyond the UK. This wasn't spite, it was a strategy. A queen who reigned through wars, scandals, and global crises knew the value of timing and silence. In her final act, Elizabeth left behind a firewall. If the Sussexes forced her hand, the envelope would burn down everything they built outside the palace. In she led just as she had in life, with quiet force, and her silence was loaded, but not even blood could save Prince Andrew from what came next. If Clause 7 cut deep, Clause 8 was surgical. Sir Gavin read it plainly: the Duke of York shall no longer receive protection, privileges, or financial assistance from the Crown. All legal costs moving forward are to be borne personally. His standing as a working royal is hereby ended permanently. Just like that, the Queen severed her son from the system that had shielded him for decades. Gone were his honorary military titles, his access to royal residences like Royal Lodge, and, perhaps most shockingly, his security detail. And just like with Harry and Meghan, there was more beneath the surface. Alongside the legal clauses was an attachment: documents detailing Andrew's communications and travel records during the years he was associated with Jeffrey Epstein. Those files, according to palace insiders, were stored with royal legal advisors, not to protect Andrew, but to ensure transparency if further legal action arose. It was a line in the sand. The Queen's personal note attached to this clause read simply: no more shielding, let justice take its course. That's not the tone of a protective mother. It's the voice of a monarch making peace with the past and preparing the institution for the future. Andrew wasn't just removed, he was cut off with finality, and there would be no comeback this time. No last-minute PR moves or negotiated interviews. The Queen made sure of that. For years, many believed Elizabeth had quietly protected Andrew out of maternal loyalty, but in her will, the truth came through. When duty and family collided, she chose duty.
It's slightly alarming and bewildering because I thought that I was just trying to point out that there were problems that were likely to arise if we went on that way.
Now the crown rests on Charles's head, but the weight of that envelope rests on his shoulders. Charles faces more than just the demands of a new reign. Emotionally torn between family loyalty and royal duty, he's also legally bound to uphold the Queen's final decision. The will leaves no wiggle room. He must enforce the cuts and protections outlined or risk triggering the release of that explosive sealed evidence. Behind the scenes, Meghan's highly anticipated memoir has suddenly stalled, stirring panic among her PR team in Montecito. Meanwhile, Andrew remains isolated and fearful, confined to Royal Lodge without the usual royal protections. It's clear the Queen had tied everyone's hands long before she passed. Her will isn't just a document, it's a framework for control designed to keep the monarchy intact no matter the personal cost. Outside the palace, the world watched with wide eyes and racing hearts. As news of the will's contents leaked, rumors exploded. Tabloids ran wild, speculating on what could be inside the sealed envelope. Yet, the palace stayed silent. No official denials, no reassurances. This only added fuel to the fire. Commonwealth leaders, already quietly briefed, now face their own questions about the monarchy's future. The fear spreading isn't just about family drama. It's about what truth could be unleashed and how it might shake an institution built on tradition and discretion. This was never about revenge. It was about legacy. And Queen Elizabeth's final move may be the most powerful of her entire reign. The Queen's strategic mind shaped a monarchy shifting quietly from privilege and secrecy toward accountability and control. What happens if that envelope is ever opened? It could change everything. Do you think the truth will ever come out, or will the fear of what's inside keep this family silent forever? Let me know what you think in the comments. That's it for today. See y'all in the next video.